We've got a couple of very tough matchups today here for our Kansas Jayhawks as we start at Death Valley. Number 5, Clemson, going to prove to be a really tough one. And then we're going to kick off Big 12 play once again on the road in Tucson, Arizona against the Wildcats. We're playing against two of the highest rated quarterbacks in the nation with Cade Klubnik for Clemson and Noah Fifita for Arizona. We've got two really tough games, and it's going to be a real barometer to see where this team is. And I'm excited to finally have our first doubleheader of the entire series. I was hoping to starting earlier this season, and now we're finally going to do it as we look to move within the series a little bit quicker. Last episode was the recruiting special. We took a deep look into all 35 players currently on the recruiting board. So in case you missed that episode, I'll leave a card at the top right of your screen to go and check out. Normally, there would be 2 weeks of recruiting in today's episode since we're playing 2 games. But since I did this week's recruiting in the last episode, there's only going to be 1 week, next week, that we go over recruiting. So let's talk about this matchup against Clemson. But first, we'll recap our most previous game before our Week 3 bye week against Missouri, our rivals in the border war. And this ended up being a thrilling game. We won 28-27. Clyde Poole, the true freshman, ended up getting the start at quarterback. And, well, it wasn't perfect, but I was really impressed. I thought he was pretty accurate. He made some good throws, looked dynamic as a runner. Now, we arguably shouldn't have won this game if not for a late fumble forced by Keenan Caldwell and recovered by Tommy Dunn Jr., giving the ball to the offense down by 6, as Clyde Poole would score a game-winning rushing touchdown. But we've got a tough matchup here today with Clemson, followed by Arizona. And obviously, we'll start with the Tigers, our final non-conference game of the season. Clemson's ranked number 5, but they've been a little vulnerable through the first 3 weeks. These guys are beatable. They squeaked away against LSU, winning by 2, and then some close games against Troy, who's in the Sun Belt, and Syracuse, who's 0-4. The interesting thing about their schedule is they have 2 consecutive bye weeks after this game. They have 6 straight home games to start the year, and do not play at home after Week 10. That's certainly fascinating, and I think at least for the early part of the year, that kind of goes to their advantage. Something else they had the advantage in over us is the quarterback position with Cade Klubnik, who is the second highest rated quarterback in college football, only trailing Avery Johnson of Kansas State, who we'll get to see later in the season. In the next episode of the Broncos franchise on Madden, we're going to have our prospect profile for the quarterbacks and look at some of the top projected QBs in this class. And Cade Klubnik probably will be at the top of the list, given his physical attributes and his production over the last 2 years. 56 passing touchdowns to just 4 interceptions since the start of this series. This is somebody who is worthy of being in the conversation to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. He is that good, and we're going to have our hands full. They have a lot of depth behind him. The South Carolina transfer Lenoris Sellers, Christopher Vizina, and true freshman Vincent Imperio, who has 100 speed and elite development. David Iziomome, the redshirt freshman, is the starting running back, replacing Phil Maffa, who was drafted in the 4th round by the Patriots. They have the young receiving core with Antonio Williams, Tyler Brown, TJ Moore, and they're hoping for some production out of their young tight end room with Jake Brenningstool going in round 4 of this year's draft of the New Orleans Saints. They'll be relying on Nate Wilder, the freshman, and sophomore Marcus Dixon. Defensively, they've got some really good players, Avion Terrell and Peter Woods, both likely first-round picks this upcoming year. TJ Parker's really good, as is Sammy Brown. Brown, however, is out for this game, a big loss, as the sophomore middle linebacker will not be available. This is easily the hardest game on our schedule, and this is a Clemson team who we might see in the future. With rumblings that Clemson and Florida State are both interested in joining the Big 12, this could be the first of many battles in this series with the Tigers, who, if they were to join our conference, would likely be perennial favorites year in and year out. Obviously, they're number 5 right now. Last year, they lost some games early in the year, but it was pretty clear that they were a fringe playoff caliber team, and I would argue they're even better this year with the developments that Klubnik has taken. David Iziomoma on the first play of the game, breaks the tackle, has space to the left side, outruns Dickerson, and he is gone! What a start for the Tigers on the first play of the game. The redshirt freshman, David Iziomoma, takes it to the house for a touchdown, and Clemson strikes first within a matter of seconds, a 75-yarder, and David Iziomome puts Clemson ahead 7-0. Well, considering that this is going to be a battle for us against one of the best teams in the nation with one of the biggest home field advantages. This start is the last thing that we would have wanted for this game. First play from scrimmage ends up being a house call, and Clyde Poole and company will have their work cut out for them. To no surprise, Poole will return as the starting quarterback after his great game against Missouri, but he's tripped up. It's the junior Peter Woods, a defensive tackle, a possible first-rounder in next year's draft. That'll make it 3rd and 10. Poole with a strike. He's got a wide open man. It's Philippe Wesley. The transfer from San Diego State gets 26. With our quarterback rotation, if Clyde Poole does not play well, we will, of course, replace him with either Ben Easters or Isaiah Marshall. But if he produces like he did last week, he'll potentially play the whole game again as Mudia Rubin gets the first down, the transfer from Stanford. Rubin only has 4 catches so far this year. We're hoping for a little more production out of him. As on first down, here is Poole. Rolls out to the right, under pressure, and he is tripped up from behind for a loss of yards. T.J. Parker brings him down, the junior, with the sack. Up the middle, Sevion Morrison does not convert on 3rd down, and the offense is going to stay on the field. 4th and 1, going to go for it against a team like Clemson. We feel like we've got to be bold and gutsy as Johnny Thompson Jr. gets the first down. I like what I've seen over the last couple of weeks from Thompson in a much bigger role on the offense than he had last year. 2nd and 5. Here's Poole. Rolls out to the right side with rushing room. Scrambles for the first down and slides inside the 5 in front of Avion Terrell, the All-American corner, who looks to be a first-rounder in his own right, and the younger brother of A.J. Terrell of the Atlanta Falcons. 1st and goal. Looking to punch it in. Poole looking to throw it, and it is dropped! The true freshman tight end, Isaiah Lamore, had a wide-open touchdown right in his hands. Would have been the first of his career, but he's unable to make the catch. 3rd and goal now for the Jayhawks. We'll see if they can punch it in here. Poole looks to throw it, scrambles, runs with it up the middle. Touchdown! An impressive opening drive from Clyde Poole against a very talented defense. Now, defensively, Clemson's been a little shaky this year. They let up 24 against Syracuse a week ago, 35 against Troy 2 weeks prior. So I'm not overly worried about us scoring points, especially if Clyde Poole is able to somewhat play like he did in the matchup against Missouri. Although, again, it's going to be even more challenging, even more of a home field advantage, and certainly more talent on this defense with probably 3 or 4 guys who are going to be first-rounders one day. Klubnik looks short on 2nd and 5. He's got Nate Wilder, the tight end, with a big hit from Javon McIntyre, the Pitt transfer. But before that, he did a nice job breaking the tackle of the other starting safety, Devin Dye. On first down, they'll go back to Izzy Omame, and he loses 3. Dylan Brooks brings him down. They make up the yardage and then some. 3rd and 1. Flag on the play. Somebody jumped. I think it was Kansas, and the unfortunate thing is the defense got the stop. J.B. Brown and company were there to bring down Izzy Omame, shy of the first down marker, but it won't matter because Travion Ford, the Toledo transfer, jumped off sides. A brutal call, and Clemson keeps the drive going. Klubnik downfield. What a catch! Mossing the defensive back for a first down. It's the young receiver Tyler Brown, the junior, who gets the conversion. Izzy Omame on 2nd and 7. Cuts it to the outside. Breaks a tackle. He's in for a score. His 2nd of the ball game. But we've got another flag, and this one's going to be coming back. A holding call against the left guard, Monte Powell. So the touchdown is no more. That'll wrap up the first quarter. In a game that we expected to be pretty high scoring, well, both offenses have passed the test with flying colors. Clemson with a 1-play drive to start the game. Then our offense took 6 minutes off the clock for a touchdown, and now Clemson is looking to answer the call. But they've got a 3rd and 12 to start the second. Klubnik has time up the middle. He's got Williams, and he is in for a score. Antonio Williams with the touchdown, and Clemson regains the lead. So far, Cade Klubnik looks like the real deal. He is not missing throws. He's pushing the ball downfield, and it's 14-7. We'll see if Clyde Poole and the offense can pick up where they left off on the last drive as it's caught, but not for a first down. Isaiah Lamore caught it past the first down marker, but he was pushed backwards, and on 4th and 2, Kansas will elect a punt. The Tigers back with it, looking to add to the lead. Klubnik under pressure, has his man. It's Nate Wilder, the tight end. And he brings it well past the 50, wrapped up by McIntyre. The Clemson offense is moving slowly but surely down the field. Now at around the 11. Klubnik, RPO. It's Tyler Brown. Looks to break the tackle. Breaks another. He is in for the score. Cade Klubnik, 11 of 11 with 2 touchdowns here in the first half, as it's Tyler Brown with the touchdown. And now Kansas trails 21-7. And we'll see if the offense can look to put themselves back on the board. It's a read option for Poole. Tripped up by the first defender, and he loses 4. So far, the Clemson defense is holding the dynamic Poole as a runner. 3rd and 8. Poole scrambles with it. Rolls out to the right with room, looking to still scramble, and he will not get the first down. But boy, he is close. 4th and inches. The offense stays on the field. Ben Easter's at quarterback. He's bigger. If we want a QB sneak, I trust him a little bit more than Poole to get it. It's not a sneak. It's a handoff for Highshaw, and he barely gets it. That was close. Nice play by Peter Woods to get off his block and make the tackle, but it is a first down. Screen for Joseph Manjack, and he loses a couple. We need Manjack to step up. The big-time transfer from Houston. 0 catches in week 1, only 2 in week 2. As on 3rd and 10, Poole looking downfield. It's picked off. Khalil Barnes with the interception, and he will bring it past the 30. Things looked pretty encouraging throughout the first quarter of this game, but now the Tigers are really getting control as Clyde Poole appears to be a little shaken up. And now that we're 3 drives in, we'll have a decision to make if we want to keep him in the game or go to one of the other quarterbacks. As for Clemson, they have it back. Klubnik on first down, under pressure, fakes off the first hit, but is wrapped up for a sack. Damani Maxson with the initial contact, and Dylan Brooks brings him down as Klubnik is also slow to get up, but he will remain in the game. 3rd and 13, Klubnik looks to throw it under more pressure, and his pass is caught by Wilder, who will get some yardage. He actually gets around 8, but it's not enough for the first down, and that'll bring out the field goal unit for the Tigers. Nolan Hauser, the redshirt freshman. This one is up and good from 41, and it's now 24-7 in favor of Clemson. The offense returns, and we're going to stick with Clyde Poole. He's shown some good things today. I want to give him another drive or two. As on 3rd and 3, Poole looking to outrun the defender, and he will. First down, slides it around the 40. Got to be a sense of urgency for the offense, looking to move quick before the end of the half as he connects with Philippe Wesley, nearing midfield for another first down. And the offense seems to have that rhythm that they had back in the first drive. Johnny Thompson loses a couple of yards, though. A nice play by the Clemson defense to try to stall some of this offensive momentum. The big fella, Caden Story, brings him down, and it's 3rd and 8. Poole up the middle. It's a first down and more. Joseph Manjack to around the 35-yard line. 2nd and 11 now. Kansas out of timeouts. Poole looking deep. He's got Wesley. Beats the first defender. He's in for a score. A 35-yard connection from Clyde Poole to Philippe Wesley. And the Jayhawks appear to be back in the ball game. One of the more impressive drives we've seen so far from Clyde Poole in his limited action. Some impressive scrambles, some impressive throws, none bigger than that one. And when the offense needed a score, under pressure in terms of the clock and a sense of urgency, the team delivers. We still have a lot of work to do, but a 10-point deficit is a lot more doable of a comeback than 17 points, especially when you factor in the fact that we are starting the second half on offense. Got to get more out of the ground game, though. We're really trying to establish the run, and it's not really working. This ultra-talented front unit of Clemson has been quite impressive, but we have been able to exploit their one weakness, their pass coverage, which is on paper a great secondary, but they haven't played up to it this season, and that's continued to be the case today. Clyde Poole's been really efficient. He had the interception to Khalil Barnes, but he's 8 of 10 overall. He's been very accurate, minus the pick. He's made some impressive throws downfield, and we'll see if he can keep it going in the second half as we start off with a big drive looking to make it a one-score game. 3rd and 2. Johnny Thompson with the handoff. He has a first down to the left side and plenty of room. Jukes away from Barnes and is wrapped up past the 40 with a nice first down conversion. Another 3rd down now, 3rd and 5 for the offense. Poole looks to throw it, clean pocket, and it's dropped! Savion Morrison had it in his hands, but it was jarred away late. He still should have caught it, and Clemson has it back. It's an RPO on 2nd and 7 for Tyler Brown. Big gain after the catch. He's wrapped up near the 50 by Dye and McIntyre, but not before getting the conversion. Clemson has scored every time they've had the ball today. 3 touchdowns and a field goal. As Klubnik is under pressure, he is sacked. Dylan Brooks brings him down, and Dekias Brinkley was there with pressure as well. There's really only been one defensive player who's been good in this game, and that's Dylan Brooks. He's been awesome. 3rd and 12. Klubnik has to throw it away. So the defense gets the stop, forces the first Clemson punt of the game. As Kansas has it back on offense, here's a nice play for Manjack. He brings it to the 35. But it will not matter. A holding call against Bryce Foster, the highest rated player on the roster. But he's been inconsistent this year in terms of his blocking and the penalties. 3rd and 13. It's just going to be a screen for Mudia Rubin, and he gets nothing. Avion Terrell brings him down, and Clemson gets it back. Remains 24-14. Here is Klubnik on 2nd down up the middle. It's caught for a first down. Nate Wilder has probably been Clemson's best receiver today, and a really good throw by Klubnik, who continues to look like a guy who should be in the conversation for the #1 pick. Eziomame with the first down run. He gets it to around the 35. And that'll wrap up the third. Considering all the offense that we had in the first half, there was no score change in the third quarter. It remains 24-14. But Clemson does appear to be moving here on this possession. They have possession of the ball at around the 31-yard line. And we'll start things off with a 3rd and 6. Play action. Klubnik under pressure. Nobody's open. He is sacked. And that might have knocked him out of field goal range. Caleb Taylor, Dekias Brinkley, and Dylan Brooks each get half a sack, and to my surprise, they're going to stick with the field goal unit. 58-yarder for the freshman Nolan Hauser, and it's good! Wow, he drills it from 58, and Clemson adds to the lead. Their first points of the second half. Still a 2-score game, though, as this one is caught for a first down. Savion Morrison gets it near the 50 to the 49. Offense has to move quickly here, down by 2 scores, as on 2nd down. Poole looks to evade the pressure, keeps it himself and runs with it. Gets by the first defender, gets a block from Lamore, and is pushed out of bounds after a gain of nearly 25 yards. That is what makes Clyde Poole so special. Any play with him can turn into a big one with his dynamic rushing ability. One of the most explosive playmakers with the ball in his hands, not just on our team, but in the country, period. He connects with Manjack, who brings it to the 11. Manjack has been disappointing this year, but he's had a good game today. I've been impressed. On first down, here is Poole. Scrambles with it, looking to outrun another defender, and he will. Jukes by the 2nd. That might be the most impressive gain of 6 I've ever seen in my life. 2nd and 4 now for the Jayhawks, looking to make it a 1-score game. It's Thompson, untouched, walks the red carpet, and Kansas not only has a pulse, but they're alive and well. Johnny Thompson Jr. with the score, 27-21, as Clemson will get it back on offense. And this defense has looked good in the second half. A far cry from the first half as Eziomame loses a yard. Dylan Brooks has been an animal in this game. Another TFL. 3rd and 10. It's dropped in the secondary. Jeremiah Miles should have had a pick. Klubnik's 2nd incompletion of the game, 15 of 17. Poole's been very accurate as well, 14 of 21, as it's an RPO. Caught for a first down by the true freshman Dorian Pepper. His first career reception, and it's a big one. 2nd and 6, read option. Clyde Poole keeps it. Here goes Poole. Jukes away from Terrell and brings it to the 35. Only being down by 6 with just a few minutes to go, we have a real shot to take the lead. However, Clyde Poole is sacked on first down by Peter Woods. A huge play for the Clemson defense, and it's 2nd and 19. Poole looks to throw it. Looking deep. He's got his man. A big catch by Mudia Rubin, and that makes it a 3rd and much more manageable. 3rd and 5 to be specific. Poole looks to throw it. Scrambles. Fumbles! And it's picked up by the defense! T.J. Parker with the strip sack, the scoop, and most likely the score. A multi-possession lead for Clemson, as T.J. Parker might have just made the play of the game. He forced the fumble with the sack, recovered the fumble, and takes it the distance for a touchdown. The junior from Phoenix City, Alabama, with possibly the clincher for the Tigers. And that ball was clearly out. We do not need to review it. What a game from Parker. And we've given Peter Woods a lot of love. He's been terrific. But so is Parker. 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. This is another guy who's got a real shot to be a first-round pick within the next year or two. And he has tortured right tackle James Livingston. as Clemson will go for 2. Look to make it a clean 14-point lead. And Klubnik keeps it on the speed option. He does not get it. It's the true freshman Seth Jennings along with Sam and Pemba who bring him down. Final play before the 2-minute warning. And the first play of the drive, it's Johnny Thompson looking to take it down the field, and he will. The Jayhawks right back within 1 score. Or not. Holding on the offense. Bryce Foster, you have got to be kidding me. The touchdown taken off the board, and it's 3rd and 5. Poole looking deep. It's Wesley to around midfield for a big first down conversion. Kansas going no huddle, trying to hold on to their timeouts. Johnny Thompson to the outside, just wants to go out of bounds, but he cannot. It's a loss of 4. After an incomplete pass, it's 3rd and 14. Offense knows they've got to continue to move it quick. Poole looking downfield. He's got man jack for the first down, and he's wrapped up out of bounds at the 30, stopping the clock. A good conversion there. Kansas has been clutch on 3rd down. Poole looking deep. He's got Manjack again, this time for a touchdown. And Joseph Manjack continues what has been easily his best game as a Jayhawk, and now it's a 1-score game. But if not for the holding call, we would have had an extra minute and a half. Instead of 2 minutes, there's a hair over 30 seconds. Still an impressive drive by Clyde Poole and company. But now we're probably going to need an onside kick, and if we don't get the kick, then we're going to need a miracle. But I'm still impressed on some of these late-game drives by Clyde Poole. He seems to play at his best when the clock is against him. Onside kick attempt is quickly recovered by Troy Stellato of Clemson. Kansas was really good last year on onsides, but are unable to get that one, and now the Tigers are a first down away from finishing the game, but that's not a good start. Isioma May loses a yard. Samuel Mpemba, the transfer from Georgia, brings him down, and Kansas uses their first timeout. 2nd and 11, back to Isioma May, and he gets around 5 or 6, a solid run. That makes it a 3rd down. And Clemson is pretty close to field goal range, so even if they don't convert, they could kick. I would imagine they go back to the run, just want to make sure that last timeout is burnt, as Isioma May is quickly stopped in his tracks, not gaining much. We've got a flag. It's going to be a holding on the offense, and this is risky, but we're going to accept it. I think they're still going to run the ball on 3rd down. They'd be kind of stupid not to, but this could push them out of field goal range, and ultimately the decision proves to be a success. Isioma May gets a few. That makes it a 4th down and pretty long. 4th and 10 to be exact, and it says they're going to go for it. Can't really say I agree with this one. I would punt it, try to pin him back as deep as possible, and they're just going to run the ball. Isioma May does not get it. He's wrapped up by Dye. If you're to throw the ball, I guess that's the play to do it. And so Kansas gets it back. They need a lot, but I suppose it's not over. Poole looking deep. He's got Manjack to the 40. Got to get back quickly and potentially spike it or run a quick play. Offense goes no huddle. 10 seconds left on the clock. It doesn't look like they're going to spike it. They're going to run a play. Poole looking, end zone. Wesley, no, it's incomplete. With 2 seconds left, and this will be the final play of the game. It's going to be a Hail Mary. Clyde Poole, of course, has the arm to get it there. The question is, will we be lucky enough to convert? With the game on the line, Poole heaves it deep for all the marbles. Tipped, incomplete! And Clemson survives by a hair. 33-28, the Tigers win this one over Kansas, and the Jayhawks drop to a record of 1-2. What a ball game. Got to give our team a ton of credit for fighting back in this 4th quarter, much like we did in the matchup last week against Missouri, but ultimately fall a little bit short. I know some people don't believe there's a such thing as good losses, and no, there's never a quote-unquote good loss. But I'm really impressed with our team today. This does not feel like the loss to Fresno State earlier in the year. We battled with a team that has superior talent to us on the road. We fought back in the 4th, and we stayed in the game until literally the final play. Clyde Poole, again, was quite impressive. He wasn't perfect. He had the interception in the first half, but he had another good game. He's going to start next week against Arizona. He has played the last 2 games entirely on his own, and if he keeps this up, he will obviously be the starter the rest of the year. He was easily our best runner. Now, yes, he did have the fumble that probably costed us the game. Again, he's a true freshman. He's not perfect, but I liked what I saw. I also liked what I saw from both Joseph Manjack and Philippe Wesley, the two of them combining for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. They were both very solid. We put Manjack in the slot late in this game, and he was really effective, so I think we're going to keep him there. Isaiah Lamore had the 1 drop, and we had 3 other drops as well. The offensive line allowed 4 sacks, but I feel like the O-line really wasn't that bad, especially considering the line has been very suspect this year. Now, Clemson's star defensive linemen were really good, but everybody else was held in check. And then defensively, I thought we played actually fairly well. Dylan Brooks, 5 TFLs. He was an animal. And yes, Clemson was unstoppable in the first half. They had 24 points, but in the second half, they only had 3 from the offense. Now, that doesn't take away from Cade Klubnik. He was awesome. He didn't have the ball in his hands much in the second half, but he was really good today. I thought the run defense was good, though. Outside of the 75-yard touchdown on the first play of the game, David Eziomame really was not that effective. So outside of Cade Klubnik's ultra-efficient first half, I thought our defense was quite good. As for the Clemson defense, TJ Parker and Peter Woods stole the show. 19 tackles, 8 for a loss, 4 sacks, including the play of the game by Parker. And then Khalil Barnes, of course, with the interception. So an unfortunate loss, but ultimately Clemson's high-end talent is just a little bit too much for us. Cade Klubnik, Peter Woods, TJ Parker, Avion Terrell, all probably going to be first-rounders one day, and they certainly looked the part. Let's simulate the week. We've got some fun matchups here in Week 4. We'll start with recruiting as well, as Dylan Brooks wins the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. Very well deserved. He was absolutely terrific. So looking at recruiting, we've got 3 players who are down to their final 3 schools, which means they will be committing to hopefully our program, but if not somewhere else, very soon, with Sean Pollard, Kerry Chosen, and Santiago Herrera. A number of other guys, pretty much everybody else here, is down to 5, and we're in first place for almost everybody here, including Pollard, Chosen, and Herrera at the top. And if we do get one or both of the 2 quarterbacks, what does that mean for our chances of landing Rambo? As for wide receiver Colby Ellington, his playing style deal breaker goes up from a D to a B. So that means we can actually put points into him this week, which is a big deal since we threw for a lot of passing yards in the last game. I'm not entirely sure how long we'll be able to put points in him, so because of that, I want to put as many into him now as possible. Unfortunately, we still cannot do anything with Bryce Huntley. His playing style deal breaker is interceptions, and we only have 1 through the first 3 weeks of the year, and it's unfortunate because he is a really good player, top 100 recruit in the class. So again, we're going to reorder the board based on how far along these prospects are. And for the guys who are down to 3 schools, we're going to put pretty much as many points into them as possible. I want to lock up these commitments now. So for example, with a guy like Santiago Herrera, we're only putting 25 recruiting hours into him, but now we're probably going to put 65. We find ourselves in first now for Josh Lawton. I talked about how competitive his battle is going to be with Tennessee selling the farm, and it looks like Texas A&M will be doing the same with defensive end Anthony Bartow. We're quite a bit behind them, and we've got a decision to make with him. We have 50 hours currently. We're going to add some more by taking some recruiting hours off of the not-so-competitive battles because I feel like a lot of these races are really starting to hit. For a number of prospects, we now know their 3 check marks, so we can switch from selling the house or whatever influence we put on them, and we can now go into soft sell or hard sell as we look to close the deal on many of these battles, which I think are going to be wrapping up within the next few weeks. Now, some of these guys down here who still have not narrowed down their top 5, we cannot sell them yet. But I think the most interesting storyline right here is with Anthony Bartow because we put 50 recruiting hours into him, but yet Texas A&M still is outgaining us. So we're going to put 10 into him this week. I know it seems like a strange strategy, but I don't think we're going to land him. But I still want to keep him on the board just in case of a miracle. As for these 3, Pollard's getting 55. Chosen and Herrera will be getting 65. I want to lock those 3 up now. And we're basically going to be dishing out recruiting hours based on how fast these battles are going. So, for example, with a guy like Josh Lawton, we're sticking with 65 because his recruitment is very fast moving. But for some of these slower ones, we're not going to put as many recruiting hours into, basically following the pace of their recruitment. And then again, with the defensive end, Anthony Bartow, we will monitor what his battle looks like, and we might take him off if we feel like it's impossible, but I feel like he's a little too good to entirely give up on. Let's now look at the Week 4 matchups across the rest of the country. We'll start with in-state rivals TCU and SMU. The Mustangs ranked number 9 already with a loss this year, looking to avoid a second one, but that would not end up being the case. The Horned Frogs with the upset over SMU, 21-17. It's been a weird start to the year for SMU so far because they lost to a Liberty team who is supposed to be a lot worse than they were last year, but they beat number 13 UCF. And now they lose to TCU. They don't really make much sense. It's been an up and down start to the year for quarterback Preston Stone, although this loss really isn't on him despite the lack of points. He certainly outplayed Josh Hoover, who did not have a great game, but the efficient running from Cam Cook ultimately leads him to the win. Texas has looked a little shaky this year. They had the early loss to Ohio State, looking to get in the swing of things, facing off against a not-so-good Utah State team, and this game ended up being a whole lot closer than the Longhorns would have liked. 24-21, Texas survives the upset attempt with a big comeback in the fourth quarter. Arch Manning wasn't bad, but he wasn't great either, and with this QB class likely being another really good one with guys like Cade Klubnik, Avery Johnson, Miller Moss, Nico Iamaleava at the top, all looking like possible first-rounders right now. Somebody like Arch Manning could easily be pushed back for average performances like this. We'll see if Manning even declares for the draft here as a redshirt sophomore, but I gotta shout out Ethan Burke, 5.5 sacks for the Texas defense. He won them the game. Speaking of Nico Iamaleava and the Tennessee Volunteers, they face off against UAB. A surprising upset here in Knoxville as the Blazers knock off Tennessee. The Vols have been easily one of the most disappointing teams in this series, going under 500 last year, and now they lose this game. Nico's been a good player throughout this series. He wasn't particularly good today, but he's been a quality starter at quarterback, but he's not a winner. They're not winning games with him, and as we talked about with Arch Manning, performances like this could easily push Nico's stock down in a QB class where there's not a lot of room for error given how good these top guys are. Someone I didn't even mention who's probably in the first round conversation is Malachi Nelson of Boise State. He had 3 passing touchdowns of at least 75 yards in this one. A very high-scoring game with Boise State and Houston combining for nearly 100. The Broncos win 53-43. They move up to number 19. Houston, I don't know why they're ranked to begin with, goes down to number 24. Malachi Nelson had a passer rating of around 340. Their offense has not missed a beat with Ashton Genty going into the NFL, getting drafted by the Denver Broncos. Darius Yeats Jackson, 2 catches for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 76-yarder. Chase Penry, 1 catch for 75 yards and a touchdown. But Zeon Christ, the Houston quarterback, was just as good as Malachi Nelson. High-level offense and virtually no defense. Arizona will be playing these guys later today. They are headed to Auburn to face off against the Tigers. Arizona 2-0, Auburn 2-1. Both teams look a lot better than they did a season ago. And it's the Tigers who end up getting the win in a close one, 22-21. So we're going to face off against a pissed-off Arizona team who loses this game by 1, being outscored 12-0 in the final quarter, despite a pretty good game from Noah Fifita, who throws for 3 touchdowns, albeit he was not the most accurate. Hank Brown had a good game under center for Auburn. He as well did not have a very high completion percentage, but he does lead them to the win. And we'll wrap things up at Hard Rock Stadium. Florida and Miami. These two teams played a crazy game in Week 1 last year. Florida ended up winning, but Miami was clearly the better team the rest of the way. This game was also crazy, but kind of the opposite of the matchup last year. In the game a season ago, Florida was up 34-0 at one point, and they only won by 6. This year, Miami had the big lead. Florida had the big second half comeback, 36-7 in the second half, 21-0 in the fourth quarter. But they would actually get the win, 46-28. A welcome to college football for former 5-star quarterback DJ Lagway, who was terrific in this game with nearly 400 yards through the air. Florida's offense lost a lot last year to the NFL draft, but they've got some new guys here, Hayden Hansen and Brown, who look to replace those guys. As for Reese Poffenbarger, he sucked. And there's going to be some calls for true freshman Keanu Hokulani to take his spot as the starter. Poffenbarger throws 3 interceptions in the loss for the Hurricanes. As we take a look at some other scores across the rest of the nation, Michigan with a close win over the Badgers. Florida State 4-0. They continue to impress. Luke Kromenhoek has been the best quarterback, in my opinion, in college football so far. In the Big 12, some notable results here, including Colorado with a squeaker over Wyoming. They are now ranked. Cincinnati loses to JMU. That's pretty embarrassing. And then across the rest of the country, LSU with kind of a close win against Rice. LSU continues to be disappointing, but not as disappointing as Notre Dame. They are 1-4. They lose 7-6 against a bad Purdue team. For the love of God, can they just put C.J. Carr in as the starter? Steve Angeli has been horrific. Syracuse is 0-5. They get blasted by Pitt. Indiana beats Kentucky 14-9. Michigan State is 0-3. We've talked about the hot seat with their head coach, Jonathan Smith. I think it also applies to Syracuse's head coach, Fran Brown. Both of those guys just in their second seasons, but those programs seem to be trending downwards. As we take a new look at our rankings, we are ranked 22nd, the lowest we have ever ranked in this entire series. Interestingly enough, Kentucky, the only team to drop out as we look at our players of the week. Kennesaw State wide receiver Bryce Dobson wins it on offense. That's an unfortunate name to have as a receiver because if he has a bad game, everyone's going to call him Bryce Dropson. While T.J. Parker of Clemson wins it on defense. And yeah, it's hard to disagree with that pick. He was awesome with 5 TFLs, 2 sacks, including the game-winning strip sack. As Kylish Hicks remains atop the Heisman list, Luke Cromanhook, 6 incompletions, 6 touchdowns. He moves into second. Miller Moss climbs up to the 5 slot. Got to give USC some credit after their early loss to Georgia Southern. They've played a lot better, now 4-1. In Week 5, we've got 2 top 10 matchups. Texas and Georgia looks like a really good game between 2 heavyweights. And then Rutgers and Minnesota. I don't really know if either of those teams are top 10, but I guess we'll find out as we go through that game. But first, Kansas versus Arizona. Feels weird. Normally this is where the episode would be ending, but we've got a whole nother week to go through. Arizona, of course, lost their first game of the year to Auburn. They currently sit at 2-1. They lost multiple guys to the NFL draft last year. Tetaroa McMillan at receiver, drafted 5th by the Browns. Takario Davis at corner, number 14 overall to the Packers. Noah Fifita is interesting because he's a really highly rated player, but I don't think he's going to be a super legit NFL prospect because of his size and lack of physical tools. Not necessarily a bad thing for Arizona, though, because that means they get to keep him for another season and a half. Somebody who will be a high pick is right tackle Jonah Savanaia. He's playing at left tackle this year. I think if he had declared last year, he would have been a first-rounder. They have a lot of high-end talent, but their roster isn't overly deep. That was kind of the issue for them last year, a big reason why they ended up disappointing. We are going to make a change in terms of one of our starters in the backfield, but not at quarterback. I've been impressed with Johnny Thompson. I know the numbers don't necessarily pop off the page compared to Savion Morrison, but you got to remember he did have the long touchdown that was called back. It's still going to be a running back by committee, but Thompson will now be the leader in the doghouse at the position. So let's get this show on the road. Number 22, Kansas, looking like the underdog in this game, looking to avoid going down to 1-3. Poole on the option, loses 4. Marquise Groves Killebrew brings him down, an early TFL and an early third down for the offense. Poole looks to throw it, clean pocket, downfield. What a catch! Moody Rubin for the first down, the transfer from Stanford, who gets it near the 40. 2nd and 10 now. Poole hands it off. Johnny Thompson Jr., his first collegiate start. And he gets a nice run up the middle, goes for around 13 yards. So far, so good here on drive number 1 for the offense. Play action for Thompson. Poole on the run, looking deep. It is caught! A very impressive throw and catch. It's Moody Rubin. Could have taken it to the end zone, but he wanted to make sure he would catch the ball. And is down just shy. 2nd and goal. Thompson in at quarterback, and this play backfires big time. He loses around 6. Arizona sniffs it up. 3rd down. It's tipped and incomplete. So we're going to have to settle for a field goal. A really good drive, but the execution at the end was pretty pitiful. And I can't help but feel disappointed, even though the offense looked overall quite good on that opening drive, as Arizona has it off of a really good kick return at the 38. Fifita, quick throw up the middle. 1st down and a big gain. Devin Hyatt, the redshirt sophomore, brings it from one 38-yard line to the other. It's a gain of 24. Following play, Fifita looks to throw it. He wants it all. He's got it all. Tiger Bachmeier with the 38-yard touchdown, and Arizona quickly ahead. A 2-play drive for the Wildcats and 2 big throws by Noah Fifita to make it 7-3. A very deep receiver core here with Arizona. No more Tet McMillan. There are 6 receivers, all within 3 rating points overall of each other. Nice first down run by Clyde Poole, evading the pressure, stepping up in the pocket. His best runs are not off of design runs, but off of scrambles. Looking to do so again. Hit as he throws, and he connects with Daniel Heishaw for the first down. He takes a big hit, but a nice throw by Poole under a lot of pressure. Play action. He is sacked on second down. Jacob Manu, the best player on this defense, brings him down. The early season struggles for James Livingston continue at right tackle. 3rd and 13. Poole scrambles up the middle. He does not get it. It's a good gain of 8, though, and we're going to keep the offense out on the field. It would be a long kick from around 55 yards out, and we just don't trust Anthony Escalante enough to do that. Here is Poole on the run, under pressure, first down for Mudia Rubin, who's had a big first quarter. Rubin had under 100 yards on the season coming into the game, but he's got already like 70 today. 7-3 lead for Arizona. They've had the ball for 2 plays in 41 seconds, yet they have the lead. We have been on offense basically all day, and the offense has been pretty good, but the red zone offense failed pretty miserably last drive. Manjack is going backwards. What is he doing? It's a loss of 9. Joseph, we're trying to score the other way. After a good second down play, it's 3rd and 6, and Thompson gets nothing. So Arizona with the stop, and the offense once again stalls after what was mostly a good drive. Field goal from Anthony Escalante is good, and it is now 7-6. We've had the ball for 11 minutes and 48 seconds. They've had it for 41, yet they still had the lead. 3rd and 5, Fifita looks to throw it, looking downfield, wants it all again. It's tipped and incomplete by Miles. This possession, another short one, once again, exactly 41 seconds as Kansas has it back. On first down, here's Poole under pressure, looking to evade the defenders. Outruns Manu, and there goes Clyde Poole. He somehow gets a first down. This is why we're so excited about Clyde Poole. His ability as a scrambler is amongst the best in the country, but Arizona sniffs out the option here. It's a loss of 4. Good defensive play by the Cats. He's wrapped up by Sterling Lane II. 3rd and 11. Poole on the run, looking to run with it again, and he will not get it. He's wrapped up by Jacob Manu, who has had a terrific first half. Kansas punts it. Arizona has it back, looking for a longer drive, and they won't get it. 3-way sack on the attempted screen. Caleb Taylor, Dakaius Brinkley, and DJ Withers bring down the quarterback. Arizona's had 8 offensive plays today, and we're almost done the second quarter. Wild. 2nd and 4. Poole on the run, looking deep. It is caught for a touchdown! The freshman connection. What a throw by Clyde Poole. And he's got his man, Isaiah Lamore, the 4-star tight end, with his first touchdown as a Jayhawk. Should have been last week against Clemson, if not for the drop. But hey, better late than never. And it's 13-7. Good job there by Clyde to, again, find space on the scramble, and a really nice throw down the field. Poole's accuracy clearly proving to not be an issue so far this year. As Arizona has it back, Fifita throws it up. It is caught! Malachi Riley to the 6. Moss's Devin Dye. Oh my goodness, what a catch, and throw as well. Arizona in the red zone late in the first half with a chance to take the lead. It won't be on this play, though, as Travion Ford is in the backfield with a sack. 3rd and goal now for the Wildcats. They have it back at around the 6, making up some of the yardage after the sack. Fifita, quick throw, broken up by Caleb Purdy. He's off to a really strong start this year. Slot receivers have not had much of an impact against us so far. Field goal try is up and through for Cash Peterman, and that'll make it 13-10, and that will be our score going into half. Another very strong start from Clyde Poole. Again, he's been really good on the ground. He's been super efficient through the air, and as he continues to play well, I'm not sure if Ben Easters or Isaiah Marshall are ever going to have a real shot to start here again, because Clyde Poole is playing so well. It's now 2.5 games against really good teams, all on the road. And while he hasn't been perfect, for a true freshman 3-star, he has been as good as you can ask for. We'll see if he can lead us to his 2nd career win. It should be a challenge. Only up by 3, not starting with the ball, as Noah Fifita and company look to regain the lead. They had that really good, really quick first drive, but they've gotten pretty much nothing since, with the exception of the late field goal. They do get a nice first down there with Tiger Bachmeier. Back to Bachmeier, and he gets a strong gain nearing the 30-yard line. Now at around the 23. So far, so good here on the opening drive of the second half for Arizona. Fifita looks to throw it. Under some pressure. Up the middle. Devin Hyatt. He has it inside the 5. Hyatt and Bachmeier both playing really well so far, as it's now 3rd and goal. Looking for the lead with a man in motion. It's the running back, Rayshawn Luke, and he is stopped. And Arizona's only going to bring the field goal unit out despite having it at the 1-yard line. The true freshman linebacker, Devontae Crispin, might have just saved 4 points. He probably did because it looked like Luke was going to score the touchdown. Arizona should be winning right now, but they only settle for a field goal, and we are tied. Here is Morrison. It's a 2nd and 20, and he gets the first down. An early penalty will not stop Kansas from getting a big run. 23 for Morrison. And so far, he has outplayed Johnny Thompson in this game. 2nd and 11, Poole will scramble up the middle. Another first down run for Clyde Poole, as Kansas eventually brings it all the way to the 5. We've been running it down their throats on this drive. Poole has only thrown the ball once, and it was incomplete. All about the run game, but Poole is sacked by Trey Smith. A loss of around a yard. That'll make it 3rd and goal. Funky formation here for the Jayhawks. It's Daniel Highshot Jr. He loses 2. Jacob Manu has been an animal, and that'll bring out the field goal unit. Anthony Escalante squeaks it through. He is 3 for 3. But back to Manu, he's been unbelievable today. James Livingston at right tackle has had 2 really bad weeks in a row. Now, I will say, he's faced off against 2 back-to-back NFL prospects, but he has not held his own against either. 1st and 20, Tiger Bachmeier with the first down, and the Wildcats are able to make up the yardage and then some from a penalty of their own. That'll wrap up the 3rd. The lead remains at 3 with both teams scoring a field goal. Our offense has had some good drives, but we've only found the end zone once today. And that'll bring us into the 4th quarter as we look to hang on and improve our record to 2-2 and win our first in-conference game of the year. Obviously, our best shot of making the playoffs is with a Big 12 title. An at-large bid with 2 losses already doesn't seem possible. So this is really where the bulk of the season starts, as Rayshawn Luke, the running back, gets the first down on the screen. 3rd and 8, another screen. It's caught by Luke. Jukes away from the initial defender, but is wrapped up by Takayas Brinkley, and Arizona's going to punt it. 4th and 5, early in the 4th. I kind of get it. I would certainly consider going, but ultimately they punt it away, and Kansas has a chance to make it a 2-score game and really put themselves in a comfortable spot here in the second half. It's Savion Morrison to start the drive. Breaks the tackle, gets the first down. I guess which other running back gets less carries between him and Thompson will end up being the one who has the better game. That's clearly how this seems to work. Poole's going to run with it here on first down. He's got a big one with plenty of space. Whoop! Jukes away from the defender, and he gets 30, bringing it to nearly the... What is he doing? Why did he stick his head in that man's nutsack? Okay, I mean, if you're going to run for 30 yards, honestly, you can do whatever you want after the play. I will not question you, Mr. Poole. Up the middle with a strike inside the 15. Philippe Wesley hangs on for the first down, and Kansas now has it in the red zone. Poole, quick throw. It is caught. Nice grab by Mario Maddox. Had 5 catches in the opener. Hasn't played since until today. We want to redshirt him, but we also want to get 4 games of use out of him as Johnny Thompson loses 5. Keanu Mailoto brings him down. Back at the 1, making up the yardage on 2nd down. As on 3rd and goal, Morrison walks it in, places it in the end zone for a touchdown. Savion Morrison will make it a 2-score lead, 23-13, and now there's going to be a real sense of urgency for Arizona, who still has not scored a touchdown since their opening drive. It's going to be a handoff. Devin Hyatt, it does not get much, and that will make it a pivotal 3rd and 2. Look at the defense. There's no safeties back deep as this one is caught. It's Hyatt again. Breaks the initial tackle, and he is gone. Arizona quickly responds with a touchdown of their own, and the lead is within 3. That was the cornerback, Avante Dickerson, looking to deliver a big hit, jar the ball out, and get a stop. But that backfires in a big way as Hyatt shrugs him off, and it's 23-20. Jayhawks back with it on 2nd down. Here's Thompson to the outside. Big first down run for Johnny Thompson, his best play of the game, as he gets 21 yards to the outside. 2nd and 6 now for Kansas, chewing clock. Touchdown puts them back ahead by 2 scores. as Poole will scramble with rushing room up the middle. Another big run for Clyde Poole. He brings it inside the 25. It is now over the century mark in yardage. 18 carries for 119 yards for the true freshman quarterback, his first 100-yard game on the ground. Poole's going to scramble again on first down and is eventually sacked on the play. We wanted to get a little cute there, and ultimately it backfires. Sterling Lane with the sack. And then on second down and third down, let's just go back to the basics. Simple runs, choose some clock, make them use the timeout as Highshaw gets nothing. And that'll bring out the field goal unit. 45-yarder for Anthony Escalante, his longest of the game. It is good. 4 for 4. The true freshman kicker has had himself an afternoon. But Arizona keeps it as a one-score game. Down by 6. We'll see if the offense can take the lead. 3rd and 10. Fifita. His pass is tipped and dropped. Should have been picked off by Miles, and it's now 4th and 10 with under a minute and a half and no timeouts for Arizona. If they don't get it, that's it. Fifita looks to throw it downfield. It's caught! And the game stays alive for a little bit longer. An impressive grab by Tiger Bachmeier. He's had a very strong game. On first down, it's picked off! Caleb Purdy with the clincher! And that should do it! We finally get the interception we've been waiting for. The defense dropped like 3 or 4 today, but Caleb Purdy gets that one to win it for the Jayhawks. 26-20 is your final, and Kansas wins their first Big 12 game of the year and will go back up to 500 with a record of 2-2. It was not a perfect game, but ultimately we get the job done with a big stop defensively, and Purdy, who's been one of our best defensive players this year, forcing the turnover. The offense moved the ball really efficiently, but we only scored 2 touchdowns. Clyde Poole had another really good game. He completed 83% of his passes, super efficient through the air, with over 110 yards on the ground as well. Excellent game from Clyde Poole, his best so far as a Jayhawk. He gets his second win as a starter. Clyde Poole has played in 3 games for us, and he's been good in all of them. So again, he's going to continue to start as long as he continues to play well. He's played great on the road against 3 of the best teams on our schedule, 2 of which we won. And for that, he deserves a ton of credit. Look at the rushing difference, 262 yards to 11. And then the time of possession as well. It felt like we had the ball practically the whole game. Solid performance from Fifita. He wasn't overly consistent, but he did make some big throws, nearly 20 yards of completion. They just couldn't really run the ball, but some of their receivers played really well. Bachmeier and Hyatt combining for 257. The 2 of them led the way. And then on defense, they were able to get stops in the red zone, but were not overall great. Jacob Manu was terrific, though, and Sterling Lane was quite good as well. As for us, Clyde Poole, 15 of 18, efficient, consistent. He looks like a 4-year senior out there, not to mention 114 yards on the ground. Morrison and Thompson were both solid. Morrison in particular played really well with less touches. And then through the air, Mudia Rubin led the way. He was great mostly in the first quarter. And then Isaiah Lamore, of course, with the touchdown. And then the defense, I thought we were really solid. We let up a few too many big plays through the air. But otherwise, a pretty good game for us on the defensive side of the ball. And then shout out Anthony Escalante. Made all 6 of his kicks. So with that, we're going to simulate the week and take a look at some of the results across the NCAA in Week 5. Iowa is currently ranked in the top 10, mostly because they're one of the preseason ranked teams who has not lost yet. They'll face off against the Penn State team who's been wildly disappointing in this series. Well, I guess they decided to underperform through the first season and a half and then basically take it all out on Iowa. A blowout 41-10 win for the Nittany Lions. A statement for Drew Aller and company. Iowa drops to 17 while the Nittany Lions move up to 22. Marco Linez was not particularly effective, 57% completion percentage, 2 interceptions. Iowa ran for under 20 yards while Penn State had nearly 300, so much like our game with Arizona. Drew Aller was pretty solid, Nick Singleton was really good, and then Katron Allen scored twice. Next up, we head to Athens, Georgia. Huge matchup between Texas and Georgia. I think the Longhorns have a lot to prove because they've been disappointing so far this year. And boy, did they prove it. A blowout. Texas throttles the Bulldogs 45-17. This is the statement I was looking for out of Texas. 246 rushing yards to 6. Gunnar Stockton picked off 4 times. He really struggled in this one. Nitro Tuggle, the only guy on the Georgia offense who was really productive. It was the run game for Texas that led the way. Cedric Baxter had a huge game. And then 3 scores for Quintravion Wisner. Arch Manning wasn't great, but they didn't need him to be great. He was pretty solid throughout the course of the game. As for the other top 10 matchup, Rutgers and Minnesota. Not really sure why either team is ranked in the top 10. Rutgers lost all their great players from last year, and Minnesota was never good to begin with. But this ended up being a pretty good game, which was ultimately won by the Golden Gophers. So Minnesota, who finished under 500 last year and lost their best player, Darius Taylor, to the transfer portal, they are now number 5. This is an impressive win for them. I'll give them credit. Rutgers was a really good team last year, the first team out of the playoff. But they appear to be quite a bit worse than they were a season ago, with a Johnny Shepard being picked off 4 times in the loss. Next up, we head to Houston. The Cougars coming off a track meet in the loss against Boise State. They'll face off against Kansas State, who's been really good so far, 3-0. Led by Avery Johnson with a strike here for the tight end Garrett Oakley. Kansas State gets the win, and they are now ranked number 25 as they win in overtime, 20-17. Not as high scoring as the last Houston game. Avery Johnson wasn't particularly great, but he's gotten off to a good start this year and looks the part of being a first or second round quarterback in this year's NFL draft. We'll see if Kansas State can keep up their hot start. Colorado and West Virginia, the Buffaloes have performed well so far in the Ryan Staub era, but it's West Virginia who would get the upset. The touchdown here by C.J. Donaldson, the big fella, helps them win it 28-23. Ryan Staub was not great, certainly coming back down to earth. Obviously a noticeable downgrade to Shedeur Sanders, drafted in the 4th round by the Rams. Nico Marichola with 3 scores and a big game on the ground for Donaldson. UCF, ranked number 13, faces off against the BYU Cougars. And ultimately, it would be Brigham Young with the win over a UCF team who also appears to be pretty overranked coming into the year. Kind of like Rutgers, a team who had a really good season last year, just missed out on the playoff, but they lost a lot of talent and clearly are not the same team they were last year. Bourgeois leads the way with 3 scores. Kingston, Epps, and Downing, the top 3 receivers, all get one for BYU. As for UCF, not as good of a game for their quarterback. Ja'Cory Brown picked off 3 times, did lead the way for them on the ground. Now let's take a look at our other scores around the league. USC wins their 5th straight game. San Diego State undefeated. They are now ranked. Texas A&M blows out Missouri 38-7. Hate to see our rivals get clobbered like that, am I right? And then looking across the rest of the country, North Carolina beats Alabama. The fall from grace for the Crimson Tide continues. Kalen DeBoer, their head coach, another guy whose job probably is on the line. Alabama has been pretty irrelevant through the course of this series, which is certainly a surprise because it is Alabama. Arkansas beats Notre Dame 51-49. At least Notre Dame's offense showed up, but the one time they score a lot, their defense, who's been pretty good this year, was not so good. Here's a look at our new rankings. Texas climbs up to 3 with their big win, while Minnesota is now in the top 5. Who would have thought? We only move up 1 spot. I get having a 2-2 team back here, but we also played against a pretty good team in Arizona who probably would be ranked around where we are had they won. As for your players of the week, a huge performance for Horatio Fields, 7 catches and 5 touchdowns, and he's joined by Jacob Manu. Back-to-back weeks where our offense allows the defensive player of the week. James Livingston had this big offseason, went up by 15 rating points, and he has led up essentially back-to-back player of the week performances. And again, I get the 2 guys he was matched up with are really good, but he has really struggled this year at right tackle. Hicks remains in first on the Heisman watch. Miller Moss climbs up to second. Horatio Fields in third. His game might not have been the most impressive at receiver, though. Zariah Benson, 6 catches for 175 and 5 touchdowns for Troy. So that'll bring us to weeks 6 and 7. In the next episode, we will stay on the road, stay in the state of Arizona, facing off against the Sun Devils. And then we return home. Our first home game since week 0. A Big 12 championship rematch in what ended up being a really good game last year against Utah, who has looked the part so far early this year. That'll wrap up today's episode. Let me know what you thought of the doubleheader format down below in the comments. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.